The lonely single dad opened his door for one night, not knowing who he was protecting. The rain had been beating on the door for hours, not the gentle kind that washes dust from the air, but the kind that sounds like a warning, as if the night itself is asking to be let in. When the lonely single dad finally turned the handle and opened his door, he believed he was offering shelter for just one night. He did not know that in that moment, with the porch light flickering and his heart already heavy with old losses, he was stepping into a quiet battle between fear and compassion, and choosing to protect a life that would forever change his own. Before the story unfolds any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of doing the right thing when no one is watching, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel KH Stories. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. He had not planned to be a single father. Life had made that choice for him years ago, leaving him with a small house full of silence and a child-sized ache that never quite went away. Every morning began the same way, with tired hands making breakfast and a mind constantly calculating how to stretch time, money, and strength. His evenings were even quieter, filled with the hum of old appliances and memories he tried not to touch. People in the neighborhood saw him as reserved, maybe even cold, but the truth was simpler. He was exhausted from loving deeply and losing painfully, and he had learned to survive by keeping his heart guarded. That night, the storm felt personal. The power flickered, the wind pressed against the windows, and the loneliness he usually managed to ignore sat heavy in his chest. When he noticed a small figure standing on his porch through the blurred glass, soaked and shaking, instinct told him to stay inside. The world had taught him caution, but something stronger, something older than fear, pulled him toward the door. He opened it and saw not danger, but a young woman barely holding herself together, her clothes drenched, her eyes wide with the kind of fear that comes from running too long without rest. He let her in without asking questions, wrapping her in warmth and offering a space to breathe. He told himself it was only for one night, just until the storm passed. Still, as she sat silently on the edge of the room, staring at nothing, he felt an unsettling sense that her fear did not belong to the weather alone. She carried the weight of someone being hunted by more than rain. He noticed the way she flinched at sudden sounds, the way she kept glancing toward the door, and the way relief washed over her face when she realized she was finally safe, even if only temporarily. As the hours passed, fragments of her story surfaced through her expressions and trembling hands. She was running from a past that refused to let her go, from choices made when she had no good options left. He recognized that look because he had seen it in the mirror years ago, when life had cornered him and demanded more strength than he thought he had. Without realizing it, he began protecting her not just from the storm outside, but from the world that had already failed her once. The following days were not easy. One night turned into another, and then another. The tension grew as shadows from her past crept closer, making his simple life suddenly feel dangerous. There were moments he questioned his decision, moments when fear whispered that he was risking everything he had worked to preserve. Yet each time he considered turning her away, he remembered what it felt like to be alone with nowhere to go, and how one small act of kindness could mean the difference between breaking and surviving. Slowly something changed within him. His home, once quiet and hollow, filled with movement and purpose. He found himself smiling at small things again, feeling useful in a way he had forgotten. Protecting her gave his pain a direction. It reminded him that love did not always arrive neatly or safely, and that sometimes it came disguised as responsibility and risk. Through her presence, he learned that healing did not come from avoiding the past, but from facing it with compassion. When the truth finally surfaced, it was heavier than he expected. She was not just running from personal mistakes, but from people who wanted to erase her for knowing too much. The realization settled in his chest like a stone. He understood then that opening his door had placed him directly between her and real danger. Still, he did not step aside. For the first time in years, he chose courage over comfort, deciding that some lives were worth protecting no matter the cost. The night everything came to a head was eerily calm, as if the world was holding its breath. He stood firm, not as a hero, but as a tired father who had already lost too much to fear. In protecting her, he rediscovered his own strength, the kind that does not shout or fight for glory, but quietly refuses to abandon what is right. When the danger finally passed, it left behind scars, but also a sense of peace he had not felt in years. She did not stay forever. Some people come into our lives not to remain, but to remind us of who we are capable of being. When she left, she did so stronger, safer, and with gratitude that words could not fully express. His house returned to its quiet state, but it was no longer empty. It held warmth, memory, and the knowledge that one decision made in the middle of a storm had rewritten his story. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that even small acts of kindness can ripple into something powerful, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and support the channel KH Stories. Your engagement helps stories of hope reach those who need them most. Before the ending, we have a special request for you. Please comment the word kindness below if you believe that opening your heart, even for one night, can change a life. He went to bed that night with the same quiet house, but a different soul. He had learned that protection is not always about strength or control, but about showing up when it matters most. And somewhere out there, a life continued because a lonely single dad chose compassion over fear, proving that sometimes the bravest thing we can do is simply open the door.